Good morning. Welcome to Bethel New Life. I'm Sharif Walker, the president and CEO here at Bethel. Glad you can make it to our wellness campus today for this automatic forum. It's good to be part of the democratic process. We know so many things have been going on with our democratic process, so I'm glad to see everybody could come out. Thank you to Deborah Williams for helping to organize this great event. Looking forward to all of the great questions that you guys can ask today, and hoping that we will get some feedback that will help us think about the future of our 37th Ward. So thank you for coming. Hope you enjoyed the morning. And also, just so you know, there's also a mayoral forum at noon today over at the K-Ron Center. So welcome to Bethel New Life.
All right. So we are about to get started. I'm happy to see all of you in this place. Just want you to know who this forum is actually hosted by. This is the Austin Quality of Life Task Force, where we help to put together the Austin Quality of Life. It's part of Austin Coming Together and Austin Forward Together. And then we have our task force partners such as Bethel New Life, Habilitative Systems, SANA, South Austin Neighborhood Association. We have Cassandra in the house. We have North Austin Action Council, NAC. And so it's a collaboration of a lot of different community-based organizations that meet monthly to make sure that we are keeping people civically engaged. And so today we are hosting the 37th Ward Candidates Forum, but next week we'll be hosting the 29th Candidates Forum. We'll be hosting the Police Council District Forum, and we will be this afternoon being a part of the Chicago West Side Branch NAACP. They are part of our collaborative as well, and they'll be hosting their mayoral candidates forum at 12 o'clock at 5628 West on Washington at the new K-Ron Center for the Arts. So we are happy to be here right now. We're gonna move expeditiously so we can get over there by 12. But anyway, we're gonna hear from our candidates. And guess who we have over here? Some rare people. We have Generation Z in the house. Let's give them a hand. So Generation Z, nobody don't know, they the ones born from 1995 to 2015. So that age group right there. And so these young people have been working diligently throughout our community for the last year or so. We have Project Exploration, and they are the Austin, head of the Austin My Shot, My Future, keeping young people busy, having kickbacks every Friday night, once or twice a month. And so they're here. And then we also have HSI, Generation Z Community Ambassadors, mental health ambassadors. So these young people be on the phone every Wednesday night from 7 to 8:30 talking about mental health and self-care. So we have some really engaged youth here today, and we want to congratulate them. Most of them are college graduates, most of them heading to college. We got HBCUs, we have all type of young people here. Okay, so first we have Shania Garrison. She's a graduate of Christ the King High School. She currently works as a youth community outreach worker for Habilitative Systems. She's also a participant in the Generation Z Mental Health Ambassador Program, where young adults come together every Wednesday on Zoom. And she is also an aspiring actress and director, planning on moving to New York, I don't know about that, to college to start her career. I don't let them go once I get them in my hand. And then we have, did you raise your hand, Shania? Okay. And then we have Perry Clay. She was born and raised in the Austin community. She graduated from Howard University with a degree. She has a degree in sports medicine. In doing so, she aspires to be a sports physician. Currently, she is actively in many community endeavors, which include access to STEM program and improving the state of the West Side block clubs. So she worked with Project Exploration and STEM program, and she's also helping the NAACP and the R3 program. We have Courtney Oliver. Perry, did you raise your hand? Okay. Courtney Oliver. Courtney Oliver is a 22-year-old student at Governor State, receiving her bachelor's. She's receiving her bachelor's in psychology. She recently just finished years of playing college volleyball. Courtney now works with HSI as an engagement specialist while she is doing work study for school. She will be receiving her bachelor's in May of this year, continuing on to grad school and going to clinical psychology. Now this last individual, she said she was born and raised on the west side of Chicago, where she grew up publicly reciting poetry, delivering speeches that spoke of uplifting the Black community. She also graduated from Howard University with a bachelor's degree in legal communications. And she is now pursuing her master's at DePaul University in experience design. She currently works as a community liaison for project exploration. She works with the R3 program in Chicago NAACP, and she has a strong passion for community advocacy and leading youth development initiatives. That's Janicia Williams. She did not mention on here that she has a familiar face that the community knows, because that's my baby. So that's my daughter, Janicia. Okay, so now we're gonna get to our candidates, and they're gonna get 2 minutes, because I didn't want to be biased with my introductions like I did for the youth. So we're gonna give them each 2 minutes. We want you to give them, so we want to give them 2 minutes introductory opening remarks to introduce themselves. And so we'll go in the order that they're sitting right now for this part of it. So Mr. Corey Brad.
My name is Corey Janelle Brad. I'm a child out of the west side. My legacy is my great-grandparents owned a grocery store in Chicago Avenue in Trumbull. I went to Morris High School, but lucky enough, I moved away from East High School. I don't need that. Okay. Can everybody hear me now? I don't like that echo in my ear, but that's okay. I went to Maywood Proviso East High School. If I hadn't, I'd probably be dead right now. When I was born, my mother was 13 years old, and I was born at Rush Presbyterian St. Louis Hospital. And I grew up on Chicago Avenue in Trumbull. Lucky enough, I was able to go to one of 2 traditional single-sex schools in the country, Wabash College. It's an all-male institution in Crawfordsville, Indiana, where I got a good foundation in education. I graduated with a Bachelor of Arts degree with an area concentration in chemistry and physics. I also have a master's degree, a bachelor's degree in biology. I have a master's degree in finance and also an MBA from St. Xavier University. I was able to luckily come back home and serve the community as a police officer in the 15th district, and I moved around pretty good. Worked my way all the way up through organized crime and internal affairs. I got a couple of mentors here. Mr. T.C. McCoy, he was one of the guys who helped train me. And I know at least one person on the panel. I like to say that we're still good friends. I also would like to let you all know that I am not here to demonstrate any foulness among us. We are all here because we live in the community together, and we're here to work together. If somebody has an enemy in here, it's not me. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Mr. Corey. Next we'll have Alderman Emma Mix.
Thank you, and good morning, everyone. Let me first thank the Austin Quality of Life for putting this together and having me here today. I would like to take 30 seconds of my time to just ask for a word of silence for Tyrell Nichols. If you could bow your head with me for a moment. Thank you, Lord. That was based on still emotions, still running high. And if you have feelings, you know what I'm talking about when looking at it. Kind of goes with you while you sleep. My name is Emma Mitz. For those who don't know, I'm the alderman of the ward, and I've been the alderman for 23 years, serving the community with everything that I have within me, working day and night, tireless. I sit on 7 committees with the city of Chicago. I chair one of those committees. That committee is the License, Consumer, and Protection Committee. I also sit on Budget, Finance, Aviation, Workforce Development, Consumer and Protection Committee. If I left out one, charge it to my head, not my heart. I'm just trying to give you a little snapshot. Then also, I chair the West Side Black Elected Officials meeting, trying to keep us together so that we'll be able to work on behalf of all our constituents on the West Side. Again, Emma Metz, 37th Ward Alderman, Punch 52.
Mr. Howard Ray.
Thanks for having us here today, and thanks you guys for coming out. And I will like to respond to Mr. Nichols' death incident last night. It should never have happened. Okay, my name is Howard Ray. I was born on the west side of Chicago. I've been living in the 37th Ward for 25 years. My nickname is Mr. 37. Here in the 37th Ward, I've worked in the 37th Ward for 25 years. I've been in the public servant for 32 years. I worked as a CTA bus driver for 2 years, and I worked as a postal mail carrier for 5 years, and currently I work as a police officer. All of these jobs has been in the 11th district. 37th Ward, but within the 11th district. My parents, my father is a Vietnam vet. He's here now. He actually retired. There he is over there. He retired as a state auditor. My mom is here. I went to Oak Park River Forest, went to Iowa State University and Roosevelt University. I'm here to run as the 37th Ward Alderman. I want to preserve this community. It's a very rich cultural, and you guys have to vote for me. Punch 51. Thank you.
Good morning, everyone. I'm a preacher, so I'm going to practice the 3 B's. Be ready, be brief, and I'm going to be soon to be seated. But my name is Jake Towers. I've been in this neighborhood all my life, the grandchild of a teacher of Austin High School for over 50 years, one of the original teachers at Austin. I'm also a kindergarten teacher myself. I'm also the child of a pastor. Our father, Pastor Towers, is sitting in the audience on today. My mother, who was also a teacher, passed away in 2020 from a long bout of cancer. And after she passed, I began in the classroom, going back and forth, working with young people. And when you work with little children, some issues go home with you. And I started to analyze some things as I go back home. And I said, something has to change for the next generation. So that's why I'm running for the 37th Ward Alderman. Like I said, I've been in this neighborhood all my life. I'm currently also Block Club President. I've been for the last 6 years. And there are some good things that are getting ready to happen in the future. But we first must have our voice back.
Now that we know who our candidates are and who our panelists are, we're going to get started with the first round of questions. And the procedure for how we're doing the questions is we're going to start first. The first question we'll start in the same order that they're going. And then when we get to the second question, we'll start with Alderman Mitz, and we'll go around the table. Then the third question, we'll start with Howard first and go around the table. So we're gonna start with the first question.
Good morning. Good morning. So my question for you all is, how would you promote grassroots organizations collaboration in the community?
Okay, and for this question, you get 1 minute.
There's not very much time, but I'll try. How would I promote grassroots organizations in the community? The only thing that I can do by promoting them is by giving them a voice if they are registered and if they vote. That's the answer.
I like the fact that we already have organizations working together. And I like to continue to work with these organizations, continue to bring other young people within the organization, build on what we already have to make it better, to include young people to let them know they do have a voice that can help change the world by voting.
The way I would promote the grassroots organization, one, giving them all the information they need, any information coming in as far as grants, I would let them know about it. Second, like the Alderman stated, we have to educate our young people about voting. It's very important.
Not going to be repetitive, but if you understand the meaning of grassroots, it means the foundation. So if something is already built, as our Alderman already said, we must continue to build upon it. So just supporting and make sure they have the information that they need and just keeping the unity. Remember, that foundation is already laid and all we got to do is keep building on it.
Good morning, everybody. So my question for you guys are, what are the steps you're taking to help end the opioid epidemic? Are you funding any institutions or programs that provide these people with the aid that they need?
Absolutely. That is one of the largest crises we have right now is people are dying from opiate addiction. And I work with the organization Preventive Partnership that's made up of multiple organizations in our community to seek funding, to help to go out on the street, organization to pass out opiate addiction medication, to help with mental illness, to get them to, in the ward, we have a living room where people can go into just if they need a break. They have a mental breakdown, a place to go. So I am also helping to seek funding, even by making sure my colleagues in City Council sign off on legislation supporting opiate addiction and making sure it get to the governor's office as well.
One of the things that I've done is I've tried to give people information how dangerous opium is. And also, I sent out letters to all the aldermen in Chicago, especially the Black Caucus, because the money that the state has for Chicago has not been represented right, because the Census Bureau did not count our population right here in Chicago. So we have a lot of money that's downstate with the prisoners that who's going to come back to this to our area. That money could have been here for the funding for the opium crisis, but it's down there.
I have not worked closely with the issue, but I've dealt with parents that have had the problem, and I've learned that simply being there and listening to them, because every addiction has a root problem. And we can do the finance, so you can come up with funding and resources and information to give them, but we also must work first with the mental state. There's always a root to any addiction, and so that's what I've been doing with my parents and also other young people.
Thank you. Ending the opioid epidemic. How do we do that? Well, first, it's not going to take any amount of money that can be fixed once you're already in that situation. I'm a product of a multi-generational home. My mother was 13 years old when she had me, and my mother also was a drug addict, and my two uncles are. So I lived through it. Most of the friends that I had coming up through Morse and Morton schools on the west side, most of them aren't here anymore. Most of them are dead, and most of them died from opioid addiction. So what we need to do is we need to address trauma for real. You're not going to solve this problem by putting money behind it. It's not enough resources for that, and they definitely not people who are in power to bring those resources to us don't want to put them here. So we need to start in the schools to prevent the trauma in the first place. A lot of these kids are being traumatized every day. They're going home and walking a gauntlet to and from. They're under trauma. We got to save them first before they even get in trouble and put that needle in their arm or tooth that will blow up their nose.
Okay, thank you. Just so you all know, we have this young lady here who's passing out blank cards if you have a question, and she's also collecting cards, and we'll bring them up to me.
Good morning. My question for you all is, what will you do about the constant shootings and violence in our neighborhoods?
The constant shootings and violence that's going on in Chicago there has to be something done about this. What I would do is, one, we have to change the policies that plague our neighborhood from the top down, meaning from the corporations through the city hall, through the police department. One thing we must do, we must implement more beat patrol officers on the street. I actually have a formula. It's called a formula. One of the components is Frontline Cover 2. We would have officers on foot patrolling the area. That's one of the things I can get back with you. My time is up. No, it's not. Okay. No. So basically, it's a 3-level tactical policing strategy. We have officers on the foot, and then have officers to be able to come to calls within 60 seconds when a call is made. That way the crime will not manifest to something higher than what's been happening.
The cause of violence is the lack of resources and opportunity in the neighborhood. Crimes that are committed are usually economically, financially, and socially, which opens the doors to constant crime. It's time to revive and rebuild the community by giving those people, young people, and our other people the opportunity. I go to other neighborhoods and we say policing. I believe policing is an option, it's not the solution. If you go to other neighborhoods, police are very rarely in attendance. Some neighborhoods you only find the police at the police station. And that is because those neighborhoods, those communities have everything they need in order to be successful. Crime has been here for years. In fact, if you go back to the 1980s, okay, when the white flight took place and they started taking investments out of our neighborhood. So if we start investing in our neighborhood, giving resources, and not just giving our neighborhood anything, because that's what we tend to do, send just anything to our neighborhood and expect us to be happy. That got to stop. So that's the issue. When we do that, that's when crime is on.
Thank you. That's a pretty in-depth question to ask for 1 minute, so I'll try to answer in 1 minute. I'll try. First of all, we need to hire more black officers from the neighborhood that we're from. Everybody, just look at who is policing your neighborhood. You expect them to solve the problems and they don't understand you? No. We need to change policies in order to make it all right to hire us to police our neighborhood. Can't have somebody that went to Desert Storm, Desert Shield, just coming out of the Army with a bachelor's degree to come and police you and they scared of you. We gotta take care of that. All right, and then second, bias, not just amongst police, all of our government. We have to address that bias because everybody that comes to your house for any service from the city of Chicago, most of them don't look like you. So how are we gonna get any benefit from it? I'm just talking real. hire us, let us take care of our community, and that will help solve the problem. The police only can react. They're not going to solve a shooting. It's not like Minority Report. They can see you going to do it and get you before the crime. Come on, police not going to do that. They only can respond, and they're not good at solving problems. All they can do is react to a situation and work backwards. Thank you.
The one thing that I can tell you with 3 police districts in the 37th Ward, 11, 15, and 25, that's 3 commanders that you work with on a regular basis. In the 15th district, right now in the city of Chicago, we are the 2nd lowest in the city for shootings. The 2nd lowest. What I like to see the other districts do is do what the commander in 15 do, is meeting with the community, meeting with the elected officials, going over what we see is the problem that's out here already, and then showing the statistics of what have taken place within that 30-day period so that we can address those issues as we go along. The other issue is that we are looking at this election with the district council officers that you're getting ready to elect for public safety. This is new. This is a new start, a new way to not only address some of the crime, but it will address some of the reason why people are being shot, maybe, and we don't know why they got shot. Is there something going on where we can hold our officers accountable to, since the officers have been, the community is afraid to work with the officers? So these are things that, the other one I would tell you is everybody need to check your own household. Check your own house. Get rid of the guns out of your own house. Know what's going on in your own house if you don't want it to be out on the street. And then we need to provide more programs and help to instill our youth so that they won't have to be doing the carjackings and the things that they're doing on the streets.
Good morning, everyone. My next question for the candidates is, how do you plan to provide resources for those that are released from jail? How do you plan on helping them to find jobs, housing, etc.?
One of the things we tend to do in our neighborhood is talk about how there's no money, there's no funding. There's a lot of funding. If you go, I don't care if it's TIF, I don't care if it's the $1.5 million we get in menu money. We must allocate these funds. We know these issues are there, and for years we keep ignoring and putting it on the back burner. The first thing we must do, we call it, they talk about the reentry program. But the one thing, the issue is that we expect people that are incarcerated to come back, and we put them in the same environment that they left and expect them to succeed. We must first put them through something. Provide the resources. And like I said before, our neighborhood get resources, but they just give us anything. We just get anything, and then we're expected to take this what we have and say, be okay. But we must give not only the tools and the resources, but give quality resources. Give quality resources and tools in order for these people to be successful.
Yes, one of the things that we have to do, we have to fight for the funds that are downstate right now. And I mentioned this earlier. The first thing we must do before June 23rd is ask for a question, resolution, modification through the Census Bureau. There are millions of dollars that's going to be left downstate where those guys are. It should be up here. Millions of dollars. So when they come back, the money should be sitting there for them. Also, We have opportunity zone in the 37th Ward. We had opportunity zone, but we still do. Those opportunity zones should have been used for the returning citizens. They could have put their business on an opportunity zone. Maybe they developed a craft in prison. They could have came back and put their business in the opportunity zone, and then that would have gave them a position where they wouldn't have to pay any federal taxes. It's all kind of stuff. We have the resources here, like Jake said, but it's not being told to the community. The community have to know there's plenty of jobs here, but we're not giving those, we're not giving the information out for those people.
The question was, how do you plan to provide resources for those who are released from prison? Well, we have resources that are here. Those resources are organizations who are already in existence, not to try and reinvent the wheel, but we have HSI, Habilitated System, Inc. We have the Nonviolent Institution, and we have Safer Foundation, who are already funded to help those who are coming out of prison to be re-entered into the community. Now, whether that's enough funding, they are doing a job with what they have. You need to know that there are programs that are in existence already who we all help fund, whether it's the governor, the city, or the state or the county, to help to ex-offenders. And one is to, just for myself, as being one of the aldermen, to have sponsored legislation so they could take away just that one question: have you been incarcerated or convicted of a felony? Is one thing that you don't have to answer on the box anymore, so that people can be able to get a job.
Thank you. So what do we have to identify first? If we don't know what the problem is, you can't solve it. All right. How many people in here have to deal with drug dealers on the street? In here, a lot of us, right? And most of us who got to deal with it, we don't like them. So if we're going to change the culture of how we treat them, because that's the only way it's going to be fixed, okay? You care about them once they get out of jail, but you don't give a damn about them while they're in there. All right? You can't do that. We have to love our brothers and sisters as brothers and sisters in humanity first. And then we can change that. We don't view them as convicted felons. They are human beings. Some of them made a mistake. A lot of them have been sent to jail because they don't have the skills to survive by getting a job, because our educational system has failed them. I'm on the local school council for Orr High School, and it is abysmal what we have to deal with. 214 students that are in a building that can house 2,112. How can we fix that? That's why they're going to jail, because we don't have the will to deal with them before they're traumatized and graduate without skills. It's on us, not them.
Hi again. My question is actually in regards to education. So are you all looking to put trades back into the high schools, like tech, like coding, things that would get the children the jobs and careers for tomorrow?
Okay, like I said, I have a little bit of experience with this. I've been on Orr High School's local school council for 3 years. And she's talking about trades. Well, first of all, we got to make sure that they can have the skills in order to be successful at a trade. Most of the seniors at Orr High School are operating at a 6th grade level in reading and writing. So how can they go out there and learn how to use a saw? All right? They're not eating well. It's only 214 of them, and there are our officials who've been taking funds away from the school for decades, and you don't know about it. They're getting ready to close Orr High School. They can't sustain 214 students. Impossible. I'm telling you the truth. I'm not here to make you feel good. This is why I'm running, okay? Let's take care of our students. I'm gonna tell you something. For the past 15 years, Orr High School has had the swimming pool closed. I had a press conference this past summer about that. Do you know that people that worked in the building for 13 years don't even know they have a swimming pool in the school? But hold on. If you are a citizen in here who pay property taxes, you're paying to maintain something for somebody else because that money's not going to org.
There are programs that are operated within the schools to give some of our children those opportunities. And one of those schools was Austin High School that had a manufacturing company that was there. And I also did the coding, where they not only got the experience there, but they got the training at Freeman Seaton. So they were working in partnership with the kids in the schools to help get them a job for those who didn't want to go to college. And they're still looking for an engineer. But somehow, the way the program was set up, they ended up canceling the program. There are still opportunities for more programs now. CPS is looking at programming for schools. They're looking at ways to make sure. I had all of the heads from CPS to come out and tour these schools with me in the ward to see. Ward High School is one of them. Yes, to make sure that they saw what I saw there. And yeah, there are some things that are not as pleasing, but I believe you can fix any problems when you put your mind to it and you want to put the resources to it. There are some schools that are doing better than others, but also again, we have parents who need to step it up. When your children are going to school, then it's your duty and responsibility too to make sure that they're having the things they need at school. And if you need help, we pass out more school supplies during the summer months to every block club, and they get school supplies everywhere. So as the school they have the supplies, and then they have food because they give food at school so that they could have something to eat. But there are pantries all over, so the kids can have things to eat at the same time. And they have places for them to also have shelter if they need to have shelter. So we want to keep working to inspire kids to do better and to do more programming.
Yes, it is very important to have numerous programs in our high school. Because everyone are not good with the homework, but they're good with their hands. One of the things that I've been doing prior to me running for alderman, I've been pushing for a CBA, Community Benefit Agreement. And that Community Benefit Agreement, thank you. I wanted, basically, the 37th Ward, we're the richest community in America. Thanks to Alderman Miss, she provided Walmart, she provided Menard, and she provided Amazon. But with that being said, we need to have them to get back to the community. And with the terminal right over here on Consular, they have a computer program that they're gonna bring in. It's like Silicon Valley. Those businesses could come back to the high school, give free lessons for coding, free lesson for robotic STEM changing. Those businesses have to give back to the community. That's what they need to do. The Community Benefit Agreement is one of my platform. And another thing is, our elected officials, we have to stop cheating and robbing the school. Right now, we're giving 56 cents on a dollar to the public school when the public schools should be getting at least 80 cents on a dollar going towards the school to provide a proper education. Thank you.
I agree with my colleague Howard, but I keep hearing the word we're trying to find ways. We're trying to find money. If you look at our police academy just came up, it started off as a $95 million project, now reported as $170 million. Now they have the Boys and Girls Club that's $8 million. There's a scripture in the Bible, Matthew 6:21, says, where your treasure is, there your heart is. There your heart is. There your heart is. When I first started out in early child education, my mother, she had a center, and she would first sit me in front of a baby. And she said, I want you just to listen to the baby. She would say, I want to listen to the cry. She says 3 cries of a baby. They're hungry, they're tired, they're wet, and they need to be fed. Our babies are crying. But the question is, can you hear them? We talk about the crime, we talk about the violence, and we want to find ways. We want to find the money. We do with money what we want to. But our babies are crying, y'all. Can you hear them?
So my question is, what are your vision for all the vacant buildings in our neighborhood? Are there any plans to turn them into resource centers, shelters, anything of that nature?
My vision for the vacant buildings that I would like to see people buy these vacant buildings. I like to see the families take ownership of a vacant building. I don't want to see a vacant building take away from the neighborhood. It takes away from your tax base. So if we start investing into the building, and you can buy a building just as you can pay rent. And I like to see more of particularly peoples of color. We are at the bottom of the barrel when it comes to buying a building. And then we want to complain when others buy buildings. So we need to stop complaining and start teaching our children what the American dream is, and that's to buy a building. And so I like to take out a vacant building because it's an eyesore. It decreases the value of your property. It causes the squatters to come into the building, and if you ever get one in, you might have problems getting them out. So you just don't need a vacant building sitting there for a length of time. Hopefully that you can help to pass the info word on, let somebody buy it. Thank you.
Vacant buildings and vacant land does deprive and depreciate the neighborhood. As an alderman, a future alderman of this ward, I think what I would do, and I know what I would do, I would have numerous town hall meetings to get the opinions from the community, because when I canvass this neighborhood, I hear what the community wants, and what the community wants, they want economical resources on these vacant properties. A lot of the vacant properties we given away has been to public institutions like the Chicago Police Academy. That should have been something that would stimulate the economy in the 37th ward. We should listen to the community. The community want something, then that's what should go on those properties.
I agree also with Howard. The one thing that our community we lack in, we build buildings, we lack in building people. She talked about people buying the lots. People can barely buy a home. And Howard talked about it. We have these tax measures and we have these opportunity zones, and those can be used. We have a lot of needs in our communities, a lot of needs. So those lots can be used as, such as it could be mental institutions, school. If you want to build I cry sometimes because we don't even have a college in our community. We tell our kids, you need to go to college. We don't have a college in our community. So there are things that can be done with this. So now I'm gonna stop because I see the stop sign.
You're hogging the mic, bro. Okay, just directly, the visions for vacant buildings. My vision is to make certain that there's no lots and all of the vacant homes and buildings are occupied. That's what my vision is. How we get there depends on you all, and that is if you elect me.
My next question for you all is, what will you do to support mental health services?
Well, one of the things, we have to support the mental health facilities. We need to bring more in. A lot of the mental health facilities was closed down by elected officials under the Ron Emanuel administration. We have to start having more organizations to educate the people in the community what mental health is. I'm being educated right now, just doing the job that I do at the 11th District police station, and mental health is real. We need to bring in every sources we can. Mental health stems from a lot of different things, from drugs, trauma, and we have to identify these ills way before it just manifests to what is manifested. So we have to have that resource. Again, we have the resources, but whoever's in our community, they need to start recognizing this mental health. We need to have Springfield recognize that Chicago is a place where everybody's going to be having mental illness if we don't take care of it, because again, it stems from economic situation, trauma, violence. So we have to get on top of this right away.
I don't want to keep being repetitive, but Howard he said it, and if you go back into the late 1990s, they started taking mental services out of our community. The late 1990s, they started taking mental services out of community. I work with kindergartens, and we did a training in Wheaton, and they had us go there and we trained with the Caucasian teachers and students, and one of the students, they were doing an activity, and one of the students got upset, and he just was going rambunctious, and they took him to this room that had everything the child could even think of to calm that child down. If the child wanted to talk, if the child wanted to listen to a story, if the child wanted to sit down, they even had a massage table for this baby. So this baby can calm down and then go back to the classroom and get his learning. There is a time for us to, like I said always before, when it comes to our neighborhood, we have resources, but it's just anything. It's just a piece to take you along the way. But what about tomorrow? There's always, like I said before, there's a root to the problem. And so we must discuss that root. But we also have, we have to give quality care. When we work with people, you work with children, it has to be quality. I think about, and I'm about to stop, but I think my favorite show is Bill Cosby Show. And he talked about the story about a steak dinner, mashed potatoes, and asparagus, one of his favorite dinners. But he said one thing that threw him off is when the server brought it on a garbage can. And that's what they do to our neighborhood. They put a steak dinner and they put it on a garbage lid and ask us to eat it. But it's time out for
that. Thank you. I really don't like using generalizations to explain these really difficult issues. Who takes mental health services out of the community? Who is it that does that? If we don't know who is it that does it, how can you ask us a question like that and it doesn't pertain to aldermen? We have to know who to ask, and you're asking us. Now we can do some, as an alderman, you can do some budgetary things, but this mental health service thing falls under the purview of the county and the state, not the city of Chicago. So if you want an alderman to teach you something, that's me, because I'm going to tell you where it's real. Vote for me.
It is very exciting to hear the mental health issue come up. You all act like you don't know. We are still in COVID-19. And anybody that had COVID have a mental block, a mental illness crisis that even affect the ones who don't have it, those who were mental ill before generation before you were born. Mental illness crisis, the lack of coming from being oppressed, the racism caused mental illness. So there's a lot of things that we can discuss when it comes to mental illness. Mental illness just from watching somebody being shot down or your loved one being killed. There was a mental illness crisis even before COVID. And to save what have not been in the ward, I think that you probably need to been around a little longer because there was nothing here. And yeah, we need to take something. And if I need to go through the line to tell you, yes, there have been many projects brought into this ward when there was nothing here. Do I need to tell you about the Washington Square Mall and all the stores that are up there in that mall came through the leadership of Alderman Ness, and everything that you got in the ward didn't come easy. It took a fight because everybody wants us to not have nothing. We are an impoverished community. That's what they want to call us, but I know we're not. We're stronger than that. We're better than that.
All right. So my next question actually comes from some of our high schoolers in the audience who have been listening to the responses and really are looking for this answer. So our students feel like their lack of feeling safe is starting to impact their ability to learn and pursue careers. And so how will you work to provide more safe spaces and job opportunities for youth in your ward?
He talked about an issue that is it's an ongoing issue. And they teach us, and I said this before, I keep alluding to it, but before a child can learn, he must first feel safe in his environment. And he has to have everything he needs to be successful. So one of the things I want to do is to start apprenticeship, not just with high school students, but even with our babies, 6th grade and 7th grade, with that job trainings or whatever. I'm noticing that in this generation, we have a very talented generation, gifted generation. And if we take those gifts and those talents and cultivate them and nurture them, and just make sure we're giving those tools. I hate that I keep saying it, but when it comes to us, we just get anything. I work in the school, and it seems as if we have these issues, and the alderman talked about it. They have been here for years, and it scares me because we know that they're here, but we're still accepting just any resource and just anything. So back to your question, just making sure we're cultivating the gifts and the talents of the young people. You talked about being safe. You want to make sure, I'm a chef, so the Lord will, I'm trying to open up a safe space. It will be a coffee shop where students and young people can come in and just, number one, talk, express their feelings, and exude those gifts. So we just need to bring those resources in the schools, not just in the schools and after school programs. My thing is, if I become alderman, I want to make sure that our CPS buildings is open 24/7. That there should be, those buildings are sitting there. We should occupy those buildings for those issues.
Not knowing is what people fear. So we need to get in the high schools jobs that they would know about. For instance, we need to have jobs where the police can teach the kids about how to be a police, how to be a fireman, how to be a teacher. Those are jobs that they should have classes explaining to kids how the jobs are supposed to be, how they can be. That way the kids won't have fear of not having a job because they would have the opportunity to say, I trained for this already. You know, I look at Orr. Now Orr, the person name is Rising Orr. He was a union. He founded the steel streetcar and railroad union. And here we have right behind Orr is CTA. That should be a pipeline for the kids to go, as soon as they graduate, go straight to CTA, get their CDL license or learn the rail car system and have a job. But our public schools do not teach those things for our kids. So when they graduate, they are already fearing about their life. And so what do they know? They go to the streets because someone tells them they're going to take care of them. You can come and work for me. But those jobs are not the jobs that they want to work for. It's all about educating our kids. We have to start implementing jobs as a curriculum in the schools. Thank you.
Well, for the young peoples, I want you to know that I done fought for you for 23 years to open up a youth center. It's been one of my priorities since I've been in office. On February the 2nd, we will be cutting a ribbon for the largest youth center, not only in the city of Chicago, but the state of Illinois on Laramie and Grand. I get double for my trouble because we're gonna bring a Boys and Girls Club at the same time for our young peoples, so that they can have the training as well, in addition to working with the young peoples who already have organizations, to help them to build, help them to be able to have access, show them how to network with other organizations at the same time, to take some movement. It's not always about, and Jake, thank you very much, because you're working at a school that I built in the war. Thank you for being there. And you don't have to run for alderman to do an apprenticeship program. All of you have to do, all of you can work with the alderman's office right now and run the programs that you're speaking of.
So I like the jobs that we're being speaking of right now, there's been, at least 27, 30 years, 27 years for the Explorer program for the Chicago Police and Fire Department. It's been around. It's not here on the west side. Why? Answer that question. 23 years of being alderman, I'm happy that you've done all what you did, but anybody that sits in your seat, just like you, should have done it anyway. All right? All I'm saying is we need to improve upon the services being sent to our that are being allowed to come in our communities. They exist. They're just not here.
No, we just outside. Okay, the next question we have for you is, what plans do you have to bring in healthier food choices? All right, what plans do you all have to bring in healthier food choices in our neighborhoods?
Healthier food choices in our neighborhoods. We need to attract more than Walmart and Food for Less. Those are two great grocery stores that we have, but we need more. 37 Ward is a vast, it's a vast location. Okay, so let's bring some more food service grocery stores here. And then we'll be a little bit better. It's still considered a food desert, considering that we still have Walmart and Food for Less, because you look up on the south side of the ward, there's nothing but, I think it's Leamington's over there. You got to go to Oak Park for Jewels. There's other places that you have to travel far. So we good over here by North Avenue and Cicero, but what about the rest of the ward?
Thank you, Corey. You know, I knew you when you was an officer back when we was in 29. And so one would ask me why I didn't challenge him when he ran for office. I felt that he would get here and tell his own story. But that wasn't good enough. The community started sending emails to me about a lawsuit that was filed against you for prostitution. So you need to be addressing that issue to these residents so that I don't have to put out a statement to tell them that. And let me just say, for Food Desert, there's a black-owned business, Liz, who just opened up 40 acres on Chicago Avenue, fresh food that we are trying to support our own black business. In addition to Aldi's, is there people shop at Aldi's as well as they shop at Food for Less and Walmart. They're a food desert on the west side of Chicago. People come from other communities to our community just to come to these grocery stores. So we are moving, but we got to continue to move. And then if you want to go upscale, then you can go to a Whole Foods.
As I expressed earlier, I like to listen to the community. I believe in numerous town hall meetings should be held. When I canvass the area where Food for Less closed down on North Avenue and Central, that neighborhood is devastated. Oh, save a lot. See, you know what I'm talking about. That area is very, very mad about that. So here's the thing. When you listen to the people, and I think the people, they want a healthy grocery store. And I really believe, and again, a town hall meeting would satisfy what I believe, we have to start opening up co-ops. The community need to have a stake in these stores. We can have the community to invest in these stores and be a part of it. That way, these stores, where the community is not going to up and leave like these stores are doing. We have to stop catering to Whole Foods, giving subsidies to all these stores, and then when they take away from us the money, then they gone. That's what we have to stop doing.
Howard hit on something very important. Alderman alluded back to the school, and you're very right. I do work at the school. But one thing a lot of people don't know, that charter school is there, but there's an organization named By the Hand, okay, which is a nonprofit organization that is tax free, so they don't pay taxes. That is also built on an opportunity zone, okay. But back to this, you talked about the healthy foods. Me and my brother, we go to the gym, X-Force Fitness, and we laugh. We go to Melrose Park. We laugh sometimes. And you talked about health foods, and one with health foods is choices. When we were driving down, we saw Trader Joe's, we saw Whole Foods, we saw Aldi's, we saw Costco's, and we saw all these grocery stores. Then we came back to our neighborhood and we saw Aldi's, we saw Food for Less. And it's kind of crazy how when it comes to our neighborhood, we don't get a choice. It's food, but not quality food. You talk about these things, and this thing, it now goes back to equitable jobs. Okay, we talk about these issues and things, but when are we going to come to a state and say, our neighborhood deserves it too, okay? So I was, one of the things, one of the programs, I think it was 50 acres or 40 acres, I believe one of those, a long time ago, I think she was trying to come into the neighborhood. I think she was supposed to have that Save-A-Lot on Central. I don't know what happened to that project, but it's just finding ways, number one, that we can have choices for our community, okay?
Okay, so we're going to give Mr. Corey 30 seconds for rebuttal.
What is also defined as a lie? Partial truth. If you're not going to tell the whole story about an incident, don't bring it up. I was never convicted of anything. You know what I did? I protected your community when I was on the police department. Internal Affairs, where I worked, were trying to fire black officers who were on probation. You know what I did? I saved their jobs by holding on to their paperwork until they got off of probation. Okay, also a woman named Gwen James was brutalized and beaten in 1996 by police officers in my district. And I took care of that lady. She sued the city, and guess what I did? As a police officer that most of them don't do now, is I intervened by being her advocate and witness to her brutality. So don't just tell a lie, tell the whole truth.
All right. Okay. So we are getting to the last part of this forum where we're getting ready to come to a close. And so we're gonna have to, it's almost 11:30 or 11:30. And so we're gonna give each one, so this forum will have to end, and if you have any questions, we'll try to put them together and try to get them addressed at a later date. Okay, so right now we're gonna give them 1 minute for their closing remarks.
The only remarks that I have is I love to represent you. Please consider reaching out to me if you have any questions. have people talking about what's on social media. If you just follow social media and don't know what official documentation is, I'll show you what it is. I don't have anything to hide. I served my community. The police department tried to destroy me, but I'm still here, fighting for you and telling the truth and not telling partial lies.
Once again, my name is Emma Mitz. I've been your alderman for 23 years. I live in the community. I have 2 children I raise in the community. I have 2 grandchildren I'm raising in the community. I love my community. I didn't just come here because I didn't put in the work. I put the work in before I even became an alderman. I'm driven. When we went through the riots here and they tore down our water and tore everything up, what did Alderman Mitz do? Go back to rebuild what we had already. And then continue to build from there. And yes, I'm asking you to support me, Punch 52, because I still have more work to do.
I just like to say, I forgot to speak about my mom. My mom is here also, and I don't know how I forgot that. But anyway, let me get back to my last closing remark. Like I told you before, I've been in this community for 32 years. I've been serving this community for 32 years, and I've always given back to the community. Every year, I give toys to the community. Every year around Christmas. I train boxers. The boxers that I train at Garfield Park, in Humble Park, they are people who could have been robbing every one of us here, but they was in the gym. We teaching them how to be better men. So with that being said, I am Mr. 37. Please punch 51 on February 28th. Thank you.
Jake Towers here. In conclusion, number one, I want to thank our alderman for doing a great job for the last 23 years. She has worked hard and fought. But one of the things we have to understand is that our older generation cannot die with a baton in their hand. We talk about, and I'm very serious. I'm very serious about that. The next generation is the most important generation that is coming up, and we must prepare them for success. We must give them the tools, the wisdom, and the knowledge so they can be prepared for the future. So all I'm saying is thank you for the hard work, but we got it from here.
All right, well, we want to thank you all. We want to thank you all for coming out. Right now, if you can head over to 5628 West Washington, the Chicago Westside NAACP and the Austin Coming Together Quality of Life Task Force, and their team is having a mayoral candidates forum. So we have a lot of the mayor candidates at 5628 at the K. Ryan Center for the Arts. We want to thank all of our sponsors. We got West Cook Home Ownership, Santa, Austin Coming Together, Bethel New Life. We want to thank you all again for coming and doing your civic duty and being civically engaged. But the candidates are here, so you can ask them any questions directly as they get ready to leave. So thank you.